The debate about the niqab is raging on Parliament Hill. The Conservatives and the Prime Minister have said that the niqab is rooted in a culture that is anti-women. The opposition, on the other hand, say you're fear-mongering and that women should have the right to wear whatever it is they want. I've got two experts here sitting with me. Athar Khan, he's a Muslim activist, and John Downes, you may be familiar with him. Actually, you'll probably be familiar with both of my guests. John Downes, a broadcaster, political commentator. Thank you both for being here. Athar, let me start with you. As a Muslim man, is this something that is mandatory to Islam?
No, it's not the niqab. And
wearing the niqab, which, by the way, is the face-obscuring facial cover that is worn by some Muslim women.
Right. Well, the niqab and the burqa are not requirements of Islam. In fact, many would argue that they're not even part of Islam. If you actually, anybody who has any knowledge of Islam beyond what's taught at the local Salafi mosque, for example, like myself, who's been to university and studies Islam, they know that this is an Arab tribal custom that is steeped in misogyny and patriarchy and the desire to control women that has been superimposed on Islam, and that was in fact there before Islam came. So it has not, this is one of those seldom times that I can say it has nothing to do with Islam.
John, I know you take a different perspective on this, but does it matter, based on what Athar has said, does it matter that this has nothing to do with Islam, that we're now talking about something that is cultural, not religious?
Well, and this is the thing. I would disagree that it has nothing to do with Islam, because you don't see Catholics wearing it, you don't see Jewish women wearing it, but there are customs when it comes to Catholicism. For instance, you know, in years past, women didn't used to go to church without their shoulders or their head covered. So, look, we have to look at this as the fact that there is a relationship to Islam. Whether or not it's mandatory, no, I don't think it is. And quite frankly, I'm not a fan. You know, I'm not as far as religions go. I'm not a huge fan of Islam. At the same time, I do have to say that it's not up to Stephen Harper, even though I may actually agree with some of the things he says. It's not up to me to take my opinions and impart them on someone else's religious or cultural dress.
Is it significant that in Saudi Arabia the niqab is seen as a symbol of oppression, whereas in Canada it's somehow seen as this something that is liberating? Is that not significant?
Well, you know, if you're a Muslim woman, you could see it as you want to see it. I mean, because it is your right to wear it out in public, and because we've permitted people to have these face coverings or any other religious traditions or cultural traditions, it's not up to a white man in Ottawa to decide whether or not a woman could actually do this and wear it during a citizenship
Athar, I see you shaking your head. What do you?
You know, Marissa, the problem with people like John Downes and the problem with people in general that argue this, it's their right to do it mentality. The problem with that argument is that it's my right then to implement Sharia law, not for everyone else, but maybe just for myself. What if my wife says, hey, I'm fine with going to a tribunal that upholds Sharia law, even if I get treated less equally than me, who's the husband, I'm okay with going there because that's part of my religion. I've accepted that. Are you going to be okay with that?
No, not at all. Because
okay, so then why are you okay with this woman wearing that?
Because we're talking about a face covering, John, which has no real impact on that woman if she decides that she's going to be a part of that.
But John, do you realize that no woman ever has chosen to wear that on her own?
I don't buy that.
Without either without being forced or without either being brainwashed. And that doesn't necessarily mean that her husband or her dad or her brother told her to do it, or even an imam. She might have just went on the internet, saw a clip, saw something written, and then got brainwashed from that.
Let me interject. To Athar's point, there may be some women, and I've seen them making sort of the media rounds that say, this is my right, I want to wear this because it makes me feel closer to Allah. There may be other reasons they choose to wear it. But you do have to wonder, you know, if this is something that is ingrained in your mind from a very young age, is it in fact voluntary, John?
Well, and this is the thing, and I would make the same argument when it comes to Judaism. I would say the same thing about Catholicism or any other bits of Christianity.
What about those religions make women invisible?
Well, no, I'm talking about this idea that people are quote-unquote brainwashed. I would say, you know, that's a pretty strong term. I would use that term when it comes to other religions as well. I was brainwashed up until about the age of 13 or 14.
Yeah, well, you're not wearing a burqa, John. That's the difference.
No, what is the difference, though? Look, there are people who decide they are going to, they're going to go to church on Sundays, accept the body and blood of Christ. I could make the argument that those people have been brainwashed. What impact does it have on Athar that these people go on a Sunday and accept the body and blood of Christ? What impact does it have on him that a woman decides she's going to wear a face cover?
Marissa, this is the problem with with non-Muslims discussing this, especially non-Muslim liberals, right? They don't get it. I'm someone who used to be a Salafi Muslim. I've been there. I've seen what these people think. I understand this is a broader campaign. Go to this woman and go to any woman that wears a niqab or the burqa. Ask her what she thinks.
I have.
Hang on. Ask her what she thinks should happen to apostates. Ask her what she thinks should happen to gays. Ask her what
Let's
she
bring
thinks
this.
should
Okay,
happen
okay.
to
Broader
people who
discussion about Islam. I mean, but what happens
no,
throwing gay people off tall
pause.
buildings is one thing. Allowing a woman at a citizenship ceremony to wear a scarf over her face,
But these aren't-
in comparison, not really such
But
a big
these are
deal.
poor little innocent, peace-loving people. I'm not saying all of them aren't. I'm just saying that
Sure.
that ideology
Then let's go.
subscribed to
Let's go.
isn't.
Let's go over those aspects of the ideology, because I'm more concerned about gay people being thrown off tall buildings than I am about a woman wearing a face covering at a citizenship ceremony.
It goes hand in hand.
Well,
Okay.
the slippery slope. We're at the less slippery end with a face covering.
Where does security fit into all of this?
Oh man, that's a big issue. Last night I was sitting in a parking lot in a Shoppers Drug Mart, and I saw a woman with a burqa walking in to the Shoppers Drug Mart.
And did she come out with armfuls of cash and prescription drugs?
I would imagine a security guard should stop her and say, "Ma'am, I don't know if you're a guy, you're a girl. I don't know what you have under there. There's been robberies of
So
banks."
do you think that the burqa and the niqab should be banned in Canada?
I think so.
Not just at citizenship ceremonies.
Absolutely. For so many reasons, the security issue that you mentioned, also as it's a broader campaign by people who have very unsavory views, more than you would ever imagine.
I'm still waiting to find out whether this woman in the burqa came out with prescription medication or cash.
You see, you make light of it because you don't
Well,
know what it is all about.
I'm not seeing an epidemic of
Okay.
people in burqas.
Okay, so if
going
it's such
around
a small
committing
issue, then
mass
why are you making
crimes.
such a big deal out of it?
I'm not making a big deal out of it. Stephen Harper's the one pushing this
if
up
if
and saying,
if it's such a small issue, we should just ban it and get it over with. It's not going to harm that many people.
Okay, it's an interesting debate that we've had. That's all the time. I'm sure we'll pick this up at a later date.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Maybe.
man.